And welcome back everyone. Today I'm looking at another IEM. This one is the S16. If you look at AliExpress, it's going to say Olaf, but I believe Olaf is just the name of the store. If you look, you're going to see S16. So the previous one was so good, and especially for that price. Let's see if this one is going to be just as good or maybe even better. And it's the purple one. I don't know, you could say purple is girly, but I do like it. I don't know if I would rock it, but it is really nice. And Jada is beside me. Do you like the color, Jada?
Yeah.
You do? Would you use it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think I should use it?
No.
No? Too girly for me?
That's mine.
Oh, it's yours. Okay. Anyway, Jada does approve. And I do like it. So, what do you get in the package? Yeah, of course, it's just a regular small, medium, and large tips. So let's take a look. Oh, the large one is really large. And as you can see, the plug is L-shaped, which is really nice. Probably not gonna break as fast. The cable does feel nice. And I do like the design. There is also a remote, volume control, and you do have a remote. So if it does work, the previous one didn't work. If it does work, then you should control your play, pause, and maybe skip it forward and backward. Okay, I'm gonna test it out for a bit, and I'll get back with my conclusion in a few days or so. Okay, Olaf. No, sorry, not Olaf. I could call it Olaf F16. It's the S16. Man, I'm making a mess of it. Yeah, really nice. Love the design. Can you detach it? Nah. Nope. Okay. And this is a Microsoft S16. Volume control does work, and the remote does also work, but it's only play, pause, and forward, so no backward. Mic test, 1, 2. And welcome back everyone. So it's about 7 or 8 weeks later. I know, terrible, but like I said, I don't always have time. And I did make a few videos in between, so that's why it took so long. Anyway, when I go to pick up a product, I always look at the description, I look at what they're promising, and I always try to achieve that one specific thing that they are promising. So if it's a bass, I want bass. If it's clarity, I want clarity. With this one, they were promising deep bass, deep dynamic bass. So that's what I tried to find in my first phase of testing. So it's going to be like less of a review and more like a story. Just going to tell you from start to finish where it started and where I am now. And it's kind of intriguing. So my very first test was on my Poco F5. And as you know, the F5 is kind of warm and bassy normally. So, and that's what I experienced in this. The F5, this plugged into the F5 was really powerful, really deep, powerful bass, almost like I was using an amplifier. But it didn't really sound good with rock or older music, even reggae, dancehall didn't sound good. It was more hip hop and rap, actually. And not even every single song. It's not like it was good with one genre. It was just like really good with one song and it was really bad with another one. So it wasn't really that good. First impression wasn't really that great. So I said, okay, let's try it on my S24 Plus. Because it's a flagship, it should be more powerful, and it might even sound a little bit brighter, a little bit more balanced. Plugged it into the S24 Plus. Sound was absolutely terrible. The bass was muddy, and it just sounded really bad. Didn't like it. Tried a few songs. It was so bad I just moved on immediately. So plugged it into my Poco X3 NFC, which normally is a balanced, bright sounding phone. And there it was just kind of lacking. And the sound was even kind of terrible. It sounded like the sound was kind of slowing down and speeding up. It just didn't sound right. So after my first phase of testing, I didn't really know what to think about it. So I said, nah, if I make a video right now, it's going to be saying, leave it alone. It's terrible. Forget about it. So I kept using it for like a week or so, just playing it in the usual burning phase to see if that would change it. And after like a week, I went for test 2. But test 2, it was the amplifier. And the amp I'm using, that's the bass boost version. And I started my test again on my F5. And it was just so powerful, completely muddy, didn't sound good. It was somewhat usable at a lower volume. And when I say lower volume, I'm talking like maybe 2. Anything above that was just too powerful and too muddy. So that was a no-go. I did turn the bass boost function off, and it did actually sound bright and nice. But at that time, I wasn't really looking at the overall sound quality. I was just looking for that nice bass that they're promising. But it wasn't to be using amplifier. So I said, okay, I'm going to leave that because most people are not going to use amplifier anyway. So I said, okay, leave that alone. Try it on the X3 NFC. Plugged it in. It did sound somewhat okay, but the bass was still lacking. You just know there was much more. But for some reason, the phone just wasn't pushing it, even in combination with the amplifier. So concluded my test, and at that time I still didn't really know what to say about this. So I said, I'm just going to leave it for a few weeks. I'm going to get back to it. And at that time I was kind of wondering if I should even make the video. But like after a few weeks, I went back to it and I said, okay, I'm going to make the video, but I'm going to go and refresh my memory and see what it's like again. So plugged it back into my Poco F5, and that really deep bass that was there on day 1, it was completely gone. So it was just sounding terrible, actually. And I said, you know what, instead of just focusing on bass, I'm going to see if I could get it to sound good. I went into the equalizer, played around with it a bit. But on the F5, I just couldn't really get it to sound good. So I said, I'm going to leave it. That's that. Forget about the F5. Not a recommendation. So in my opinion, if you're using the Poco F5, I would leave this one alone. So plugged it back into the Samsung S24 Plus. And I have to say, I was using it on the S24 Plus all those weeks to edit my videos, because as you know, I make driving videos and planes, and I edit those videos on the S24 Plus. So I was using it all those weeks to edit, but not to listen to music. So now I said, let me see what I can achieve if I'm just going to focus on music. Went back, took a look at the bass. It did sound a little bit better than in the first phase, but it still wasn't really that good bass-wise. However, I did get it to sound kind of good, and that was using the Dolby Atmos on and going to adapt sound and choose, and I think it was 30 to 60 Hz. Yeah, there was one before that, I think it was like 21. That didn't sound good. And if you really want to boost everything, then you could choose, I think it's 61 and over or 65 and over. But I don't really like the one too much. The one I would stick with is dynamic and then adaptive sound and 30 or 31 to 60 Hz. Of course, if you select the bass boost, it's going to sound terrible. It's going to sound muddy. Balance is really bad. And dynamic is okay. And if you choose treble boost, that's going to be really nice and bright. And that's actually the one I use when I'm editing. But if you look for deep bass, you're just not going to find it on the Samsung S24. However, I will say, if you're going to use it on the S24, you will need an adapter. and this is the one I'm using. I can't remember the name. I'm going to put it up on the screen. So maybe if you do use the adapter from Samsung, then it will sound better, maybe. I did try a next one from Ugreen, and it didn't really make the sound, it didn't really make it bassier. It did clean the sound up a bit because it's hi-fi. So your music will sound better if you use that one, but it won't really sound bassier. So I was actually done, more or less. But I said, you know what, let me just try it on the Poco X3 NFC one more time. I wasn't expecting much because, like I said, it was terrible the first time, and the second time wasn't really that great. So I just plugged it in, and you won't believe the sound that's coming out of this. I remember, message. I remember if you know this phone, you know this phone is really nice, not really powerful. It's more towards mids and treble, but for some reason the power that's coming out of this phone now, keep in mind the first week it was absolutely terrible, but now I'm telling you, I don't need an amplifier. It's like Mike Tyson punching you in your face while keeping it kind of bright. Yeah, I know, unbelievable. So as you can see, and it's okay with every genre. I mean, it is a it is a cheap product, so it's not like Sennheiser or Samsung where you get like really detailed sound or whatever. But for what it is actually quite good. But it is kind of complicated. So whenever I recommend a product, I will say, okay, if it's for this person or for that person, if you're looking for this, or if you're looking for that. But with this one, it's a little bit more complicated because who would I recommend it to? Well, I would say if you are a patient person, because you will need patience, and if you are adventurous, because you never know where it's going to take you, and if you are, I would say if you're good at working with your equalizer. So if you're someone who could build up a equalizer from scratch, like me, I'm not really good with equalizer. Maybe you think I am, but I'm not. What I usually do is I go through the presets, and if I find a nice preset, then I will tweak it a little bit just to see if I could get it sound any better. You know, maybe a little brighter, a little bassier, whatever. Try to bring the mids out a little bit more. But I'm not someone that could build one from scratch, from flat. That's just not me. But if you are that person, then I think this might be what you're looking for. Now, maybe not what you were looking for, but it might suit you a little bit better. But if you do pick it up and it sounds bad, well, at least you know there is a possibility it might sound good in the future. But if you do pick it up and it sounds really good from day one, there is a possibility it might sound worse in the future. So I don't know, whenever I do a product, I always say it could be my unit. So it could be my unit. I don't know if it was designed that way or it's just something with my unit. But you know, that's my experience, and that's my experience. And regardless of everything, I'm going to tell you, I absolutely love it, and I will pick it up again. But not necessarily for the music, but just for the fact that it is so comfortable. One, I really love it. I really love the design. Seriously, I know you could say it's a cheap product and whatever. I don't care. I love the product. It's really comfortable. I just love the way that this part is shaped, and it's so comfortable. I can use it like all day when I'm editing. I don't really feel it. It's just really nice. Only problem is the cable. Whenever you put it down, oh man, it's just gonna tangle. Whenever I pick it up, I'm always busy for like a minute or two just trying to get it get it straight again. And but the quality does feel really good, and so I'm not really worried about that. The quality does feel good, and especially because of this part, it's not gonna break fast. You know what happened to my AK6, is it the AK6? Yeah, that one broke fast. That one was really comfortable. So that was my go-to for editing, but it broke fast because of the cable, but because of the L shape, I'm pretty sure this one is going to last way longer. So yeah, that is it. Can I recommend it? Yeah, I could, but like I said, it's going to be for specific people. It's not going to be for everyone, that's for sure. And there's always going to be like this kind of like bass to it. Not really like it's bassy, but whenever you listen to it, there's going to be like a certain amount of power to it. And that's what I forgot to mention with the Samsung using the amplifier. It didn't really make it much bassier, but it did make it more powerful, if you understand what I mean. So there was just way more kick, but it didn't really deliver a deep bass. But as you can see, if the device is right, oh, this video is really long, but that's okay. I can live with it. Hope you can too. If the device is right, if the song is right, because it also depends on the song. And that's also something else. One song can sound really good, and the next one could sound really bad. And even within genres, you know, I think if you listen to like a mix that's really long, a long mix with the same beat is going to be good. But if you're someone that's going to be shuffling and you're going from, let's say, chill step to reggae to rap to classic, you might find yourself reaching for the equalizer more often, because it's not one of those things that's going to sound good with every genre. So it is good, but the working range is kind of limited, in my opinion. Am I forgetting anything? The video is not scripted, so I don't write anything up, you know, no notes or anything like that. So I'm doing it out of my head. So that's why I have to wonder if I'm forgetting anything. So, you know, I'm not a professional anyway. If you want to get so many professional channels, you don't come to me because I'm a pro. You come to me just because maybe you like my style. So what style? I don't have style. But yeah, that's my video. What's the name of it? What's the name of it again? The S16. Yeah, I absolutely love it, but maybe I love it for the wrong reasons, but I do love it. And the color, inside the color is kind of subdued. You think, you denked, that's Dutch, you denked. You think, it's all right. I'm going to tell you, I took it outside, and it was a sunny day. I went to track and field when I was doing my test, and I took it outside and I saw it in the sun. I was like, no, I don't believe I'm going to use this one. But after a while, I was like, you know, these days I got this kind of FU attitude anyway. Like, I don't really care what people think anymore. Maybe it's the age. I just popped them in. I saw people looking. I was like, yeah, nice, huh? But if I'm going to buy it again, I would probably go for the blue one. So I wouldn't go for this one. I know I wouldn't give this one to Jada because it's just too powerful. Even if the bass is not, there's just too much power behind it. Even if the bass it's not that good, there's just too much power behind it. So I wouldn't recommend this one for young kids anyway. You might end up damaging, causing some permanent damage. So I wouldn't recommend it. All right, this video is way too long. Maybe I was just having fun. Hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I will put it in the description, or I'll just pin a comment. So I can't even remember the price, but I picked it up on AliExpress. I believe I mentioned it at the start anyway, in the unpacking. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to try to get the next video out a little bit faster. And thank you all for sticking around. Have a wonderful day.